And a very warm welcome to our viewers in Indonesia and across the world. Thank you for joining us on today's See Today special live event, where the Minister of Foreign Affairs annual press conference will be aired today. I'm Kai Soria.
And also with me, Hans Lango. For the next hour, we'll bring you discussion related to global issues and topics regarding the Indonesian Foreign Minister press statement. And the chosen topics will be related to bilateral, multilateral, and also global issues regarding Indonesia.
And of course, Indonesia's involvement is also going to be key. And I'm sure it will be an interesting discussion, as well as the speech from Minister Retno Marsudi herself, considering the many events that took place in Indonesia and around the world in 2022.
Well, I have to agree with you on that kind, because there's always something happening in the world at the moment. One event which is high impact in the international level, and we are still feeling it up until now in terms of the effect, is the Ukraine and Russia war.
We really thought they would have managed to resolve it by the end of last year. It was undoubtedly a high impact situation on the world, and especially in Indonesia. And we'll take a look at more.
Of course, and we'll talk more on that one, but it's not just us at the studio. We have with us Padjadjaran University International Relations experts, Mr. Teuku Reza Shah. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Always great to have you.
Good morning, Southeast Asia. Thank you very much for taking me in.
So, sir, we are about to witness the Indonesian Foreign Affairs annual press conference, which not many of us might understand its meaning
And or significance, and many of us may also not know it is very significant and a prestigious moment, as the foreign minister will tell all about Indonesia's achievement in terms of international relations between countries. So let's take a look first. So we have some information. This is according to the Foreign Ministry's website. This press statement, which is held annually and referred to as PPTM in Indonesia, underlines its accountability and transparency.
Well, locally, we call it as PPTM. It's an important moment at the start of each year where the Foreign Affairs Minister delivers a speech on Indonesia's diplomacy and its achievements in the past year, as well as Indonesia's foreign policy for the coming year.
That's one I'm really looking forward to, because a lot will be on Indonesia's shoulders, and the PPTM also allows the public to see and learn more about Indonesia's foreign policies, its implementation of diplomacy, and the development of international cooperative relations in various fields through the exhibition of diplomatic achievements. So, Pak Reza, how would you define this press statement, or PPTM, and its significance?
It is extraordinary. Because if we see this PPTM from the global standard, global level, global prism, not many institutions in the world has the capacity to do the annual press statement of the Minister for Foreign Affairs. And we have been doing this for more than 40 years. If we check our colleagues in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they will say that, oh, this has been on even before I came in. So this is a tradition. This is an excellent tradition from the Indonesian Ministry of Foreign Affairs to maintain change and continuity at the same time. And it means consistency, it means integration of ideas, it means openness to the world. This is what Indonesia has been doing. So before the world talk about the ideas of good governance, incorporating ideas of responsibility, accountability, fairness, and transparency, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they have been doing that for ages. If I recall my memory, it has been there since the era of Bapak Mohtar Kusuma Atmaja in early 1980s. It is, and to be continued by the Minister Ali Alatas, and then the continued ministers until today. So that's why, and if we refer to the tradition of this PPTM, in the first paragraph, usually the Minister of Foreign Affairs always say, we will say, we'll welcome, we'll express thanks to the earlier ministers of Foreign Affairs. Usually the former Minister of Foreign Affairs, they are there.
In the place to witness this particular...
To show that there is a continuity in Indonesian foreign policy.
I love this foreign minister. The foreign ministries has a lot of cultures and internal cultures.
Exactly, I was about to say that. It's sort of like culture and tradition. And also, sir, if we can only guess, what would be the highlighted events or the achievements that will be in the press statement?
Usually, if I refer to the earlier statements, it's short, It's short. Doesn't have to be long. Maybe the total items are less than 200 items.
200 items.
Less than 200 items.
Yeah.
But written in small sentences, in short sentences, and it gives also rooms for the minister to express her own aspiration, her remarks, and usually in the words in the number 199 of 200. It is a thank you very much for your kind attention. And then usually the minister will restate the title of the speech at the first paragraph or at the last paragraph of the speech. This is the tradition I'm learning. Well, usually, it will highlight Indonesian consistency in operating its free and active foreign policy. It will express thanks to the Indonesian diplomatic apparatus inside and outside the country, because this is a huge work.
Yes.
If maybe the speech itself will last for 1 hour, but if we count how many hours were taken for drafting the speech,
Oh, I can imagine.
imagine thousands of hours inside and outside Indonesia, because this is a tradition. This has united, I think, staff and also bureaucracies inside the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to focus. This is good. Because not many institutions can do this, especially it is done in the early of January, and earlier on, most activities were closed inside Indonesia. So it means that the staff of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they had to be awake, even though it was Christmas, it was New Year, but they had to contribute. If we see the websites of the Indonesian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and also the websites of the Indonesian embassies and consulate generals, we show the dynamics there. They really perform. They know the vision, the mission, and they work accordingly to the right track. So it shows, it shows that this is the rare ministry inside Indonesia, which has capacity to prove it has governance. It has been operating governance, and it has received support from the whole structure in the Indonesian diplomacy framework. And also, what else will be there? Maybe appreciation that, for example, appreciation to the suggestions or remarks from the UN Secretary General. Usually like that. That's how it goes. We talk at the global level, and then we talk at the regional level, we talk at the bilateral levels. So I think Ibu Menlu will talk about the link between Indonesian free and active policy vis-a-vis the advices coming from the UN Charter and then the statement from the UN Secretary General. And usually this kind of press statement will also cover changes and continuities faced by the government of Indonesia, and then by the Indonesia as a nation, and then the state of Indonesia, and then the bureaucracy itself. We'll talk about the challenges and then promises and then difficulties faced in balancing itself in the middle of the divided world. So if we talk about this divided world, I think Ibu Menlu will also say that this happened not only today, but in the past. If in the past, the President Sukarno, the former president of Indonesia, will call it vivere vere colossus amante, meaning there are great differences, but we need to sail peacefully and justly, and then we control our boat with the right rudder, with the right people, with the right staff, something like this. I think Ibu Menlu will acknowledge we are living at the moment in a very difficult time, a very challenging time, but there are always a role for Indonesia. As maybe Ibu Menlu will not say that we are the middle power, we are the credible middle power, we are the natural leader of ASEAN. I think Ibu Menlu will not say that, as she kept it in her mind. But he would say, she would say that regardless of what is happening, Indonesian consistencies are there. and then it is very difficult to play its role as a neutral country in the turbulence world like this. So, but there would be no self-glorification, I think.
Yeah.
But she would say it in such a way, saying that Indonesia has been working very hard, maintaining good relations at the bilateral level, and then maybe the Ibu Menlu will talk about the success of the past G20
Yes.
summit in Bali, and will convey also Indonesian readiness to support the leadership of India for the next year chairmanship. And also Ibu Menlu will also say what happened with ASEAN, because at the moment we are the chair of ASEAN.
Yeah.
So in this case, Ibu Menlu will not show what strategies to be applied with regard to Myanmar, and what joint policies have been achieved with regard to the Indonesia-Malaysia relations. Couple of hours ago, the Prime Minister of Malaysia was here.
Yeah.
She will not mention what we have reached, but I think at the macro level,
Yeah.
we would appreciate all kind of achievements done at the bilateral level, regional level, and global level. For the bilateral levels, I think Ibu Menlu will talk about the results at the macro statements, of the visit of Prime Minister of Malaysia, and 1 month before the results of the arrival of the President of Vietnam,
Yeah.
and earlier on the Prime Minister of Japan and
Yeah.
Prime Minister of Australia. I think she will highlight, it shows that even though we are part of Southeast Asia, but when it comes of diplomacy, maybe she will not say that ASEAN is too small for Indonesia. She will not say that, but actually Indonesia is a global player.
Yeah. So I think what you were saying is right. A little bit of humility can come a long way, and we don't have to, she doesn't have to state anything and make any big statement, because all of the achievements that she already needs to point out is already more enough than just boasting, if
It
you may.
spoke for itself.
Yeah, she just needs to mention all the activities that Indonesia's managed to do and pull off in the last couple of years. That is also all due to very great relations we were able to maintain with a lot of countries.
Yeah, and you were mentioning about the structure of the upcoming press statement, and it's been going on since the 80s. But historically, has the structures been like that, from year to year and from one minister to another?
Yes. If I recall the earlier press statements, they always they appreciate the contribution of the actors inside Indonesia. In this case, the media, printed media and electronic media. Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I think, has clearly examined their role in conveying objectivity in what is happening with regard to the Indonesian diplomacy. Because at the moment we are dealing with hoaxes around us.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
And of course, in this case, the ministry will have to appreciate media who are capable of conveying the truth, and then advising and providing suggestion how to improve the quality of the diplomacy and how to improve the quality of the well-being of the nation. I think that is one of the role under the Adam Malik Award. And there is also award to commemorate the role of the Bapak Hasan Wirayuda, because Pak Hasan Wirayuda was very active during his leadership in help ending regional conflicts, and also protecting the Indonesian citizens overseas.
Yeah.
So I think there are rooms for award with regard to Pak Hasan Wirayuda's role. And then in this case, uniquely, this is for foreign ambassadors inside Indonesia. This is the rare opportunities for them to come. I think all of them are here at the office at Jalan Pejambon. And they have been waiting for this, to meet, for example, foreign ambassadors. This is an opportune time for them to meet, to talk bilateral ideas, and to talk about their next role, for example, in the next ASEAN summit, in the next G20 summit. It is about time for ambassadors to have an earlier discussion. So this event benefits the government of Indonesia. to show its global credibility. Because if we refer to the foreign governments, not many foreign ministries have the capacity to do this kind of thing regularly.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, it is good for Indonesian researchers like me. This is the primary sources coming from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And then this can be continued with the further question and answers. And then I'm sure the attendants are not only ambassadors, but also parliamentarians and also Indonesian medias, Indonesian diplomats, and then the special invited people. So in my opinion, we have passed the COVID. We have passed the COVID pandemic, and I think people under strict protocol. I think the hall in that Ministry of Foreign Affairs will be full of people.
Well, we're
It's
certainly
more than just press
excited.
conference.
Yes, it is. It is a pinnacle event on its own, and it is something that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs always looks forward to sharing every single year. We're going for our first quick break.
Yes, and we will be back for annual press statement of the Minister for Foreign Affairs 2023 after this one.
La réputation de l'Algérie a beaucoup souffert au cours des dernières années suite à la grande décennie noire marquée par le terrorisme. C'est merveilleux ici, la vue est incroyable.
J'aime beaucoup cet endroit, c'est le musée des Beaux-Arts. On a le Markham Sharif juste au-dessus de nous, le monument du martyr.
Qui est assez dur à manquer d'ailleurs parce qu'on le
On ne peut pas
voit
le rater, même
lorsqu'on
à
arrive en
l'arrivée
ville.
de l'aéroport, vous le voyez déjà sur le trajet.
Rien à dire. Excellent. Excellent. Ouais.
This is really good. Oh, I'm so excited to eat this one. Pengen nyobain makanan paling rekomendasi di restoran ini. My favorite still the meat. It's really good for me.
Selamat malam orang-orang lemah yang kalau donor darah jarahnya disedot jarum suntik. Saya no. Saya kalau donor darah, saya biarkan tubuh saya dikeroyok ribuan nyamuk. Nah baru, nyamuk-nyamuknya saya giring ke PMI.
Teknik mesin ya, Mas Coki?
Bukan.
Perindustrian?
Bukan.
Penerbangan?
Bukan, Bang. Psikologi spanduk.
Oh, advertising maksudnya, Bang.
Jadi orang bilang kalau makan patola atau ular sawah, fungsinya obat. Sama juga. Yang dari daging anjing itu kan dia obat dada, penguat, dan lain-lain. Semacam perangsang untuk bekerja sebenarnya.
Tapi untuk spesifikasi manfaatnya untuk eksem seperti tadi atau untuk kulit, emang masih sampai belum ada data yang menunjang seperti itu sih.
Khusus untuk misalnya fenomena di pasar Tomohon munculkan istilah pasar ekstrim kan, itu fenomena baru.
I had some desire to get back on a horse. I contacted Riding for the Disabled, but there's no attraction for me to be sitting on a horse surrounded by equipment.
Oh, it's amazing. I love watching Sophie Lang.
What makes a new place feel like home? I always believe it's about the people and the community.
I love the tomato sauce. This is what I always say, the dish of signature.
And food often the best way to connect them all.
Ooh, this one really good.
Restaurants, for me, is the beating heart of a city. That is why I love exploring new places. Follow me while I'm visiting the most exciting eating places around cities only on Sea Indonesia.
Back again with us on Sea Today with a special event, the annual press statement of the Minister of Foreign Affairs 2023 with me, Kai Surya.
And also with me, Hans Lango, and also Pak Teuku Reza Shah. Now, Kai, we've been hearing lots of explanations from Pak Reza earlier, and we've been waiting for this annual press statement because, as mentioned, it is not the thing that could be done by lots of ministries in Indonesia. But Pak Reza, how would you assess Indonesia's diplomacy like from 2022?
Well, I think the last picture was the arrival of Prime Minister of Malaysia, Anwar Ibrahim, and also the successful conduct of the G20. People had pessimism that a country like Indonesia could organize this G20, where top leaders of the world were here, and they had earlier on adjusted their national agenda so that they could come to Bali. It is not difficult. It is not easy, and we only see the output. Okay, presidents were here, prime ministers were here, but what we do not, but what we hardly see is the black box, the hard work of Indonesia to show to the world that we are that the G20 targets were done based on the blueprint, for example. The timeline is there, and then the constant communication between Indonesian embassies are there with the host government. So this is something people hardly appreciate. And then also, of course, the stability of Indonesia. This is also has to be appreciated, because the success of diplomacy is depending on the capacity of the nation to maintain its stability, and also the quality of the Indonesian people also needs to be appreciated. Because for the whole years, of course, we witness there are hiccups in the country because Indonesia is so huge, yeah. But also, seen from the foreign lenses, we managed to maintain stability inside the country, and then the normal bureaucracies work in line with the vision and the mission of the national government, and then the bureaucracies are in good order, especially the diplomatic area of Indonesia. So this is something we need to appreciate.
Okay, so certainly there are a lot more discussions that we're going to get to do, but we're about to witness live the press conference from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs 2023. Let's take a look. Okay, so that was a little bit of time. Apparently there were like a 10-second and a 15-second mark. But this is very exciting, right? We've been talking about how significant this particular statement is going to be. A lot of guests are going to be there. And certainly just seconds away, we're ready for the live feed from the Foreign Ministry of Indonesia.
Ibu dan sahabat Kemlu, sesaat lagi kita akan mendengarkan apa saja capaian diplomasi Indonesia di tahun 2022 dan apa yang akan menjadi fokus prioritas kebijakan politik luar negeri Indonesia di 2023. Ibu, Bapak, dan sahabat Kemlu, marilah kita simak bersama pernyataan pers tahunan Menteri Luar Negeri tahun 2023. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, may we have your attention for the 2023 annual press statement of the Minister for Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia.
The year 2022 was a year full of uncertainties. Challenge after challenge. Crisis after crisis. The COVID-19 pandemic is not yet over. The global economy has not fully recovered. Then, the war in Ukraine broke out, and the situation exacerbated. Global food supply disrupted. Recessions and high inflation unavoided. Rivalry rivalries among major powers intensified, and countries are more divided. In a time of great challenges, the world needs true leadership. We are Indonesia.
Kita berada di puncak kepemimpinan global.
So today, I would like to offer you a word based on a new paradigm. A paradigm of collaboration, not of competition.
As we lead, we unite.
Saya kembali menekankan pentingnya perang segera diakhiri.
Presiden Putin memberikan jaminan keamanan untuk pasokan pangan dan pupuk, baik dari Rusia maupun dari Ukraina.
The group of 20 major economies adopted a joint declaration.
KTT G20 di Bali, Indonesia ditutup.
As we lead, we deliver.
Indonesia terus berkomitmen untuk terus memperjuangkan dan menyuarakan kesetaraan vaksin.
Indonesia will stand firm in solidarity with our Palestinian brothers and sisters.
We cannot afford to have a lost generation of Afghan women.
Bantuan kemanusiaan Indonesia untuk Afghanistan.
Dengan mengucap Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, bantuan kemanusiaan untuk Pakistan saya berangkatkan.
As we lead, we inspire.
I highlighted the need to look at Indo-Pacific through opportunities lens and not only the challenges lens.
Pasifik harus menjadi bagian integral dari kawasan Indo-Pasifik yang damai, stabil, dan sejahtera. Democracy is not an end in itself, but it is a means to an end. Kesejahteraan rakyat Myanmar menjadi prioritas.
It is no longer time to talk the talk. Now is the time to walk the talk.
It is an honor for Indonesia to assume ASEAN chairmanship in 2023. Kita tidak hanya harus maju bersama, namun juga harus maju setara. Let us shape better future together.
Because we believe Indonesia can contribute. We believe Indonesia matters.
I'm Retno Marsudi. I'm sending this message to all countries around the world. The challenges before us are great, but we are greater. Together, we can solve all challenges. We must be united. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan, Rahayu. Yang saya hormati Bapak Utut Adianto, Pimpinan Komisi 1 DPR RI, Bapak Alwi Shihab, Menteri Luar Negeri Indonesia periode 1999-2001, Duta Besar Triyono Wibowo, Wakil Menteri Luar Negeri periode 2008-2011, Duta Besar A.M. Fahir, Wakil Menteri Luar Negeri periode 2014-2019, Ibu Juliani Malik, Excellencies, Ambassadors, rekan-rekan media, para diplomat Indonesia dimanapun berada, Ibu Bapak sekalian. Pagi ini kita menerima kabar duka. Ibu Yunisa Ali Alatas meninggal dunia. Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi roji'un. Duka cita kami yang dalam kepada keluarga dan doa kami semua menyertai kepergian beliau. Ibu Bapak yang saya hormati, selamat tahun baru 2023.
Mari kita jadikan 2023 menjadi tahun yang lebih damai, sejahtera bagi kita semua. Kita baru saja melalui tahun yang penuh tantangan. Pertanyaannya selalu bagaimana sikap kita dalam menghadapi berbagai tantangan. Apakah kita ingin menjadi bagian dari masalah atau menjadi komitmen Indonesia untuk selalu menjadi bagian dari solusi? Pasca KTT G20, Sekjen PBB Antonio Guterres menyampaikan, saya quote, "I think in a very difficult context in which geopolitical divides have reached a climax, Indonesia has demonstrated an enormous capacity to bring parties together, to promote dialogue, and to try to push for solutions." Ibu Bapak, Presidensi G20 Indonesia dilakukan di tengah situasi dunia yang sangat sulit. Hampir semua pihak pesimistik bahwa G20 akan dapat bekerja, bahwa G20 akan dapat menghasilkan sesuatu yang bermanfaat bagi dunia. Syukur alhamdulillah semua kekhawatiran tersebut tidak terjadi. Kepemimpinan Indonesia mampu menjadikan G20 tetap utuh, dapat bekerja, dan menghasilkan banyak kerjasama konkret yang bermanfaat bagi dunia, termasuk bagi negara-negara berkembang. KTT G20 juga menghasilkan sebuah deklarasi Bali yang berbobot. Tanpa mengorbankan prinsip-prinsip piagam PBB, deklarasi Bali mampu menghadirkan komitmen kerjasama yang konkret. Selama presidensi, Indonesia berhasil mencapai beberapa terobosan kerjasama, antara lain pembentukan Pandemic Fund, Bali Compact dan Bali Energy Transition Roadmap, Digital Innovation Network, serta operasionalisasi Resilience and Sustainability Trust untuk membantu ruang fiskal negara berkembang. Deklarasi Bali dilengkapi aneks berisi 361 list kerjasama dan proyek antara G20 dan mitra untuk dunia. Ibu Bapak, satu tanggung jawab besar sebagai Presiden G20 telah dapat ditunaikan Indonesia dengan baik. While we lead, we unite. While we lead, we deliver. Saya ingin sampaikan sekali lagi penghargaan kepada semua pihak yang telah mendukung presidensi Indonesia di G20. Indonesia membuktikan bahwa persahabatan dan kolaborasi telah mendatangkan manfaat bagi dunia. I wish India all the best for the G20 presidency, and Indonesia will render its full support to India. Ibu Bapak yang saya hormati, selain menjalankan presidensi G20, selama tahun 2022, diplomasi Indonesia juga terus dijalankan secara aktif. Pertama, pelaksanaan diplomasi kedaulatan. Tahun kemarin, perundingan batas maritim dilakukan dengan Vietnam, Filipina, Malaysia, dan Palau. Beberapa kemajuan yang dicapai antara lain ditandatanganinya kesepakatan batas ZEE Indonesia-Vietnam setelah perundingan 12 tahun. Semua perundingan batas maritim dijalankan Indonesia dengan sepenuhnya menghormati UNCLOS 1982. Sementara untuk batas darat, berbagai perundingan dengan Malaysia dan Timor Leste kembali diintensifkan. Indonesia dan Malaysia juga telah menyelesaikan perundingan revisi perjanjian pelintasan perbatasan dan perjanjian perdagangan perbatasan yang akan ditandatangani tahun ini. Kedua, pelaksanaan diplomasi pelindungan WNI. Sepanjang 2022 telah diselesaikan lebih 30.000 kasus pelindungan WNI, termasuk pemulangan 422 WNI korban sindikat online scams dari Kamboja, pembebasan 22 WNI dari ancaman hukuman mati, evakuasi 133 WNI dari Ukraina, dan fasilitasi pengembalian hak-hak finansial WNI di luar negeri lebih dari 120 miliar rupiah. Upaya pencegahan juga terus diperkuat melalui kesepakatan bilateral dengan Malaysia dan Saudi Arabia, dua negara dengan tingkat konsentrasi PMI. Di tingkat multilateral, Indonesia juga mendorong pembentukan norma internasional terkait penempatan dan pelindungan pekerja migran, baik pekerja sektor domestik maupun profesional. Ketiga, diplomasi ekonomi. Ibu Bapak, di tengah situasi yang sulit, diplomasi ekonomi terus diperkuat. Selama menjalankan presidensi G20 proyek kerjasama dengan nilai 71 miliar US dollar atau lebih 1.100 triliun rupiah. Just Energy Transition Partnership juga telah disepakati senilai 20 miliar US dollar atau lebih dari 312 triliun rupiah. Peningkatan akses pasar dilakukan melalui percepatan finalisasi perjanjian perdagangan bilateral dengan Chili, Uni Emirat Arab, Korea Selatan, Jepang, dan Mauritius. Di tingkat regional, ratifikasi RCEP selesai dilakukan. Dilakukan juga perundingan upgrading perjanjian ASEAN Australia New Zealand FTA, ASEAN Hong Kong FTA, dan dukungan Indonesia Expo 2022 telah menghasilkan transaksi lebih dari 15 miliar US dollar atau setara 233 triliun rupiah. Pertemuan bisnis dengan Amerika Latin dan Karibia dan negara-negara Eropa Timur kembali dilakukan dengan nilai kerjasama sebesar ratusan juta US dollar. Keempat, pelaksanaan diplomasi kesehatan. Ibu Bapak, selama pandemi, diplomasi dijalankan untuk mendukung pemulihan kesehatan nasional dan global. 516 juta dosis vaksin telah diperoleh Indonesia. 137 juta dosis diantaranya diperoleh melalui kerjasama bilateral dan multilateral. 412 juta dosis vaksin telah disuntikkan kepada masyarakat Indonesia. Indonesia terus memperjuangkan akses vaksin bagi semua negara melalui co-chairmanship-nya dalam COVAX AMC Engagement Group. Hingga Desember 2022, COVAX telah menyalurkan 1,88 miliar dosis vaksin ke 146 negara, termasuk 103 juta dosis ke Indonesia. Indonesia juga menjadi salah satu tuan rumah APCID, menjadi tuan rumah IHM, dan aktif mengawal proses penyusunan Pandemic Treaty yang baru. Kontribusi keuangan untuk dunia di bidang kesehatan juga diberikan melalui hibah 50 juta US dollar untuk Pandemic Fund, 5 juta US dollar untuk CEPI, komitmen 15,5 juta dolar Amerika untuk Global Fund, dan 5 juta US dollar untuk mekanisme Regional Reserve of Medical Supplies. Untuk memperkuat ketahanan kesehatan nasional, diplomasi bekerja untuk menjadikan Indonesia sebagai pusat riset dan produksi vaksin di kawasan. Indonesia telah terpilih sebagai penerima teknologi vaksin mRNA dari WHO. Bulan Oktober lalu, Presiden Indonesia telah meluncurkan Indovac, vaksin COVID-19 produksi dalam negeri hasil kolaborasi Bio Farma dengan Baylor College of Medicine dari Amerika Serikat. Kelima, kontribusi Indonesia di kawasan dan dunia. Ibu Bapak, situasi pandemi dan berbagai krisis lainnya tidak menyurutkan kontribusi Indonesia untuk dunia. Sepanjang tahun lalu, perhatian dunia terfokus pada perang di Ukraina. Secara konsisten, Indonesia menyampaikan pentingnya penghormatan prinsip integritas wilayah dan kedaulatan negara lain. Secara konsisten, Indonesia mengajak pihak-pihak terkait untuk memulai pembicaraan damai dan menghentikan perang. Indonesia juga berupaya agar reintegrasi ekspor grain dari Ukraina dan gandum serta pupuk dari Rusia dapat dilakukan. Dalam konteks inilah kunjungan Presiden Indonesia dilakukan di Kiev dan Moskow pada bulan Juli lalu. Sebagai wujud kepedulian terhadap kemanusiaan, Indonesia telah memberikan bantuan hibah tunai, obat-obatan dan alat kesehatan, serta komitmen rekonstruksi rumah sakit di Ukraina. Untuk Afghanistan, selain bantuan kemanusiaan, Indonesia terus aktif mendukung rakyat Afghanistan, terutama kaum perempuan Afghanistan, antara lain melalui Dialog Ulama Trilateral Afghanistan-Indonesia-Qatar di Doha, aktif berpartisipasi dalam misi ulama OKI ke Kabul, penandatanganan dengan Qatar untuk memperkuat bantuan kemanusiaan dan pengembangan kapasitas bagi Afghanistan, dan bulan Desember menyelenggarakan International Conference on Afghan Women Education untuk mendukung pendidikan bagi perempuan Afghanistan. Terkait Palestina, dukungan terhadap perjuangan bangsa Palestina terus dilakukan. Bantuan kemanusiaan diberikan dalam bentuk hibah sebesar 14,4 miliar rupiah untuk penanganan dampak pandemi, 7,2 miliar rupiah melalui ICRC, 3 miliar rupiah dialokasikan setiap tahun untuk pengungsi Palestina melalui UNRWA. Indonesia juga selalu berupaya untuk hadir bersolidaritas dengan negara-negara sahabat, antara lain melalui bantuan kemanusiaan pada bencana banjir di Pakistan, dampak krisis ekonomi di Sri Lanka, pandemi di beberapa negara Pasifik, antara lain Solomon Islands, PNG, dan Fiji. Sepanjang tahun lalu, pemajuan HAM di tingkat kawasan dan global terus menjadi perhatian Indonesia, antara lain melalui UPR Cyclus keempat, Regional Seminar UN Convention Against Torture, Regional Conversation on Human Rights, dan ASEAN Human Rights Dialogue 2022. Tahun lalu Indonesia kembali menyelenggarakan Bali Demokrasi Forum ke-15. Indonesia juga telah mencalonkan diri kembali sebagai anggota Dewan HAM PBB untuk periode 2024-2026. Indonesia mengharapkan dukungan semua negara anggota PBB terhadap pencalonan ini. Terkait ASEAN, apresiasi yang tinggi kepada Kamboja yang telah menjalankan keketuaan yang baik, termasuk upaya mendorong pelaksanaan 5 Pieces untuk Myanmar. Indonesia terus mendorong implementasi 5 Pieces, antara lain melalui inisiasi pertemuan para menteri luar negeri di Jakarta dan di Phnom Penh, dan pertemuan para tingkat leaders di Phnom Penh November tahun lalu. ASEAN kecewa terlepas dari upaya ketua dan semua negara anggota ASEAN, implementasi 5 Pieces oleh junta militer Myanmar tidak mengalami kemajuan signifikan. Penyelesaian masalah Rohingya juga tidak mengalami kemajuan. Dalam 3 bulan terakhir ini, Indonesia menerima tambahan 644 orang pengungsi Rohingya. Dengan tambahan ini, maka terdapat 1.500 migran etnis Rohingya terregistrasi di Indonesia. Penyelesaian masalah Rohingya menjadi lebih sulit dengan situasi Myanmar saat ini. Isu Rohingya tidak akan dapat diselesaikan jika akar masalah di Myanmar tidak diselesaikan. Masih terkait dengan ASEAN, Indonesia juga telah menginisiasi rekomendasi High Level Task Force ASEAN mengenai penguatan kapasitas dan efektivitas kelembagaan ASEAN, membuat core elements visi ASEAN pasca 2025 dan peningkatan kemitraan ASEAN Amerika Serikat menjadi komprehensif strategis. Indonesia menyambut baik penerimaan secara prinsip keanggotaan Timor Leste di ASEAN. Untuk Indo-Pasifik, Indonesia terus mendorong kerjasama konkret yang inklusif dalam implementasi AOIP. Implementasi AOIP harus utamakan dalam semua kegiatan ASEAN. Dalam konteks inilah, atas inisiatif Indonesia telah disepakati ASEAN Leaders Declaration on Mainstreaming 4 Priorities Areas on the ASEAN Outlook on the Indo-Pacific within ASEAN-led mechanism. Ibu Bapak yang saya hormati, sebagai bagian dari bangsa Pasifik, berbagai upaya meningkatkan kerjasama dengan negara-negara Pasifik Selatan juga terus dilakukan tahun lalu. September lalu, saya melakukan kunjungan kerja ke Fiji dan Solomon Islands. Kerjasama pembangunan diperkuat, antara lain melalui pembangunan Regional Agriculture Training Center di Fiji untuk memperkuat ketahanan pangan di Pasifik. Serah terima lapangan futsal multiguna di Solomon Islands untuk mendukung penyelenggaraan Pacific Games dan memulai pembangunan rumah sakit di Solomon Islands. Desember lalu, Indonesia juga telah menjadi tuan rumah Archipelagic and Island State Ministerial Forum dan Indonesia Pacific Forum for Development atau IPFD. IPFD akan menjadi platform untuk pengembangan kerjasama pembangunan secara terlembaga di kawasan Pasifik. Indonesia juga berusaha mendekatkan Pasifik dengan dunia. Di bawah presidensi Indonesia, untuk pertama kalinya wakil dari Pacific Island Forum diundang dalam rangkaian acara G20. Terdapat 10 proyek kerjasama yang khusus didedikasikan untuk negara-negara Pasifik Selatan, 2 diantaranya diinisiasi oleh Indonesia. Ibu Bapak, tantangan dunia di tahun 2023 akan semakin berat. Ketidakpastian global dan situasi geopolitik yang sangat dinamis masih akan menjadi karakteristik dunia. Rivalitas antar kekuatan besar juga terus menajam. IMF memprediksi perlambatan pertumbuhan ekonomi dunia dari 3,2 tahun lalu menjadi 2,7 untuk tahun ini. Managing Director IMF menyampaikan pandangan, sepertiga ekonomi dunia diprediksi akan mengalami resesi pada tahun ini. Bahkan di negara yang tidak mengalami resesi, ratusan juta penduduknya akan merasa berada dalam resesi. WFP memperkirakan setidaknya 50 juta orang akan mengawali tahun 2023 di ambang famine. UNGCRG mengingatkan food access crisis yang saat ini kita hadapi dapat menjadi food availability crisis pada tahun 2023, terutama bila krisis pupuk di tingkat global terus berlanjut. Isu perubahan iklim masih akan terus menjadi perhatian dunia. Ibu Bapak, di tengah tantangan dunia yang semakin sulit ini, cara pandang positif, kerjasama, dan optimisme justru semakin diperlukan. Cara pandang inilah yang akan digunakan Indonesia dalam menjalankan keketuaan di ASEAN tahun ini. Indonesia ingin menjadikan ASEAN resilient dan menjadi barometer kerjasama yang dapat berkontribusi bagi perdamaian, stabilitas, dan kesejahteraan kawasan dan dunia. Dengan semangat ini, keketuaan ASEAN 2023 mengambil tema ASEAN Matters epicentrum of growth. Dengan ASEAN Matters, Indonesia bertekad menjadikan ASEAN tetap penting dan relevan bagi rakyat ASEAN and beyond. Dalam kaitan ini, maka masa depan ASEAN harus mulai disiapkan untuk menyongsong ASEAN 2045. Sentralitas ASEAN harus diperkuat agar mampu menjaga perdamaian, stabilitas, kemakmuran di Asia Tenggara dan Indo-Pasifik. Kerjasama penanganan kejahatan lintas batas penting diperkuat, demikian juga dengan ASEAN Human Rights Dialogue. Melalui subtema Epicentrum of Growth, Indonesia bertekad untuk terus menjadikan Asia Tenggara sebagai pusat pertumbuhan ekonomi. The history and the story of ASEAN is always related to economy. Di tengah ancaman resesi, ekonomi Asia Tenggara diperkirakan masih lebih baik dari rata-rata pertumbuhan ekonomi dunia. Economists say that Southeast Asia is likely to stay a bright spot on the world edging toward a recession. ADB memperkirakan pertumbuhan ekonomi ASEAN mencapai 4,7% pada 2023. Di bawah subtema Epicentrum of Growth, beberapa kerjasama akan diperkuat, antara lain ketahanan pangan kawasan, ketahanan energi, kesehatan, dan kerjasama keuangan. Kawasan Indo-Pasifik yang damai dan stabil, penghormatan terhadap hukum internasional, dan kerjasama yang inklusif merupakan kunci bagi ASEAN untuk menjadi epicentrum of growth. Untuk itu, implementasi AOIP akan menjadi ruh besar pelaksanaan prioritas keketuaan Indonesia. Ibu Bapak, banyak negara memiliki konsep Indo-Pasifik. Disinilah diperlukan sebuah sinergi sehingga berbagai konsep tersebut tidak akan semakin memperuncing rivalitas. Paradigm of collaboration akan menjadi pendekatan Indonesia di Indo-Pasifik. Indonesia akan terus menekankan bahwa Indo-Pasifik harus didekati tidak saja dari aspek security, namun juga dari aspek pembangunan ekonomi secara inklusif. Indonesia akan menyelenggarakan flagship event selama keketuaannya di ASEAN, yaitu ASEAN Indo-Pacific Forum, dengan fokus pada beberapa kegiatan, yaitu Creative Economy, Youth Conference on Digital Economy for SDGs, Infrastructure Forum, dan Business and Investment Summit. Selama keketuaannya, Indonesia juga akan terus mempererat hubungan ASEAN dengan PIF. Mengenai Myanmar, sebagai ketua dan sesuai amanah 5PC, Indonesia akan berusaha semaksimal mungkin membantu Myanmar keluar dari krisis politik. Office of Special Envoy akan dibentuk dan dipimpin oleh Menteri Luar Negeri. Langkah yang akan diambil Indonesia akan selalu berdasar prinsip dan nilai fundamental Piagam ASEAN in its entirety, antara lain adherence to the rule of law, good governance, principle of democracy, and constitutional government. Sesuai 5P's dan keputusan KTT ASEAN di Phnom Penh, Indonesia akan melakukan engagement dengan semua stakeholders. Hanya melalui engagement dengan semua stakeholders, maka mandat 5PC mengenai fasilitasi bagi terciptanya dialog nasional dapat dilakukan. Kolaborasi dengan utusan khusus Sekjen PBB akan terus dilakukan. Indonesia meminta agar akses kepada semua stakeholders diberikan untuk Sekjen ASEAN dan AHA Center agar mereka dapat melanjutkan misi bantuan kemanusiaan. Keketuaan Indonesia juga akan memastikan bahwa pembangunan komunitas ASEAN akan tetap menjadi fokus utama. Isu Myanmar tidak akan dibiarkan menyandra proses penguatan pembangunan komunitas ASEAN. KTT ASEAN akan dilakukan 2 kali, yaitu bulan Mei dan bulan September. Ibu Bapak yang saya hormati, selain fokus pada pelaksanaan keketuaan ASEAN, tahun ini diplomasi Indonesia juga akan diprioritaskan pada beberapa hal. Pertama, penguatan diplomasi kedaulatan. Perundingan perbatasan maritim akan difokuskan antara lain finalisasi perjanjian batas laut teritorial dengan Malaysia di segmen Laut Sulawesi dan Selat Malaka bagian selatan. Presiden dan PM Malaysia sudah berkomitmen untuk menandatangani pada tahun ini. Perundingan penetapan batas landas kontinen dengan Filipina. Perundingan teknis dengan Palau untuk memperoleh kesepakatan parsial garis batas ZEE di segmen tertentu. Untuk perundingan batas darat, prioritas antara lain perundingan penegasan batas darat pada unresolved segmen yang tersisa dengan Timor Leste, yaitu Noel Besi, Citrana, dan Bijay Sunan Oben. Menyelesaikan outstanding boundary problem dalam penegasan batas darat Indonesia-Malaysia di sektor timur, khususnya di Pulau Sebatik dan Sungai Sinapat selesai. Reaktivasi Forum Joint Border Committee Indonesia Papua New Guinea. Kedua, memperkuat diplomasi pelindungan. Portal Peduli WNI versi 2.0 dan versi aplikasi mobile untuk meningkatkan kualitas pelayanan publik akan diperkuat. Selain itu, juga akan dilakukan percepatan pembangunan koridor migrasi ketenagakerjaan sektor formal yang aman dan teratur, perluasan kerjasama dalam penanganan TPPO khususnya terkait cybercrimes dan online scams, serta penguatan peran ASEAN dalam isu pelindungan PMI. Untuk mendukung pelaksanaan pemilu, pembaruan data di WNI di luar negeri terus kita lakukan, baik di pusat maupun di perwakilan. Tugas Kementerian Luar Negeri jelas, memastikan pemenuhan hak politik warga negara Indonesia di luar negeri dan menjamin akuntabilitas data pemilih luar negeri. Ketiga, terus memajukan kerjasama ekonomi. Tahun ini kita akan fokus pada akselerasi pemulihan ekonomi nasional serta memperkuat pertumbuhan ekonomi hijau. Indonesia akan melakukan percepatan penyelesaian perundingan-perundingan bilateral yang saling menguntungkan, antara lain CEPA dengan Kanada dan Turki, PTA dengan Bangladesh, Djibouti, Fiji, Iran, dan Mauritius, serta Trade and Goods Agreement dengan Pakistan, BIT dengan Timor Leste, serta terus meningkatkan investasi dari berbagai negara pada kawasan-kawasan industri di Indonesia. Di tingkat regional, Indonesia akan secara intensif menyelesaikan proses CEPA dengan Mercosur, dengan Uni Eropa, serta CEPA ASEAN Kanada. Untuk kawasan Afrika, inisiasi pembentukan PTA akan mulai dengan sejumlah kelompok negara, termasuk SACU, ECOWAS, dan EAC atau EAC. Berbagai bisnis forum juga akan digelar, termasuk Indonesia-Europe Business Forum. Diplomasi untuk mendukung program BUMN Go Global akan dilanjutkan. Kemlu juga akan mendukung penuh Bali and Beyond Travel Fair 2023 sebagai pameran wisata terbesar di Indonesia. Bulan April ini, Indonesia akan menjadi official partner country untuk Hannover Messe di Jerman. Diplomasi ekonomi juga akan difokuskan pada penguatan ekonomi hijau dan akan tetap konsisten memerangi diskriminasi perdagangan internasional. Diplomasi juga akan bekerja mempertahankan kedaulatan ekonomi Indonesia dalam mengelola sumber daya alamnya demi kesejahteraan rakyat. Untuk itu, Indonesia akan melanjutkan upaya memperkuat industri hilir. Tanpa pembangunan industri hilir, negara berkembang seperti Indonesia tidak akan dapat melakukan lompatan pembangunan. Kesejahteraan merupakan hak semua negara. Ibu Bapak, prioritas selanjutnya adalah aktif menjalankan diplomasi perdamaian dan kemanusiaan. Sebagaimana amanah konstitusi, Indonesia secara konsisten akan terus membantu perjuangan kemerdekaan Palestina. Indonesia juga akan terus membantu rakyat Afghanistan, terutama kaum wanita, dalam memperoleh akses pendidikan. Dukungan bagi pelaksanaan intra-Afghan dialog dan kerjasama ulama, termasuk dialog ulama trilateral Indonesia-Qatar-Afghanistan akan diteruskan. Indonesia juga akan mendorong OKI untuk lebih aktif dalam menyelesaikan isu Palestina dan Afghanistan. Indonesia akan terus mendukung upaya perdamaian Ukraina dan Rusia. Tahun 2023, Indonesia akan menjadi ketua MIKTA. Keketuaan Indonesia akan mengusung 3 prioritas besar: penguatan multilateralisme, pemulihan inklusif, serta transformasi digital. Indonesia akan berupaya meningkatkan visibilitas MIKTA sebagai bridge builder dalam penyelesaian berbagai isu global. Ibu Bapak, berbekal peran, keaktifan, dan kontribusi Indonesia untuk dunia, maka Indonesia telah memutuskan untuk mencalonkan diri sebagai anggota tidak tetap Dewan Keamanan PBB untuk periode 2029-2030. Semua persiapan akan dimulai dari sekarang dan Indonesia sangat berharap dukungan semua negara terhadap rencana pencalonan tersebut. Ibu Bapak yang saya hormati, tantangan bagi diplomasi Indonesia ke depannya hanya akan bertambah berat. Lingkungan kerja yang kondusif dan komitmen memperkuat reformasi birokrasi untuk meraih predikat WBK, WBMM akan terus diperkuat. Kesetaraan dan pengarus utamaan gender akan terus menjadi bagian integral program di pusat dan perwakilan. Penguatan kelembagaan akan kita lanjutkan agar adaptif dengan dinamika dan tantangan di lapangan. Last but not least, peningkatan kesejahteraan akan terus diperjuangkan. Ibu Bapak yang saya hormati, mengakhiri PPTM ini, saya ingin menyampaikan penghargaan dan apresiasi yang setinggi-tingginya kepada Komisi 1 DPR RI, teman-teman dari media, para pemangku kepentingan terkait, seluruh pihak, dan terutama kepada para semua diplomat Indonesia dimanapun teman-teman sedang bertugas saat ini. Terima kasih atas dukungan dan kerjasamanya dalam pelaksanaan diplomasi Indonesia. Indonesia akan terus berkontribusi dan memainkan kepemimpinannya di tengah situasi dunia yang penuh tantangan. Indonesia will continue to contribute and play its leadership amidst a world full of challenges. Leadership in the challenging world Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
And that wraps up the long-awaited 2023 press conference of the Foreign Minister of the Republic of Indonesia. We've just witnessed so many important highlights, and I know Pareza and I and Hans have been typing notes, but before that, you know, as a family of the foreign affairs, it just gives me so much pride of everything that Indonesia has managed to achieve, because every single person in that ministry must have worked so hard. I mean, did you see all the achievements? That was a lot of points I had to point. So, Pareza, just straight away, what were the most important highlights that you thought should be re-mentioned and to be elaborated? Because there were just so many. Indonesia has achieved so much in 2020.
I put lots of notes in there now. And like what you said before, apparently the title was at the end, Leadership in a Challenging World.
Correct.
And so what are the highlights, Pareza?
I managed to write 164 pointers.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't know. Well, it was an excellent speech, well-prepared speech, well-explained, and also very detailed. And when the Ibu Menlu mentioned data, it was scientifically proven, and we can check from the authorized sources. And then there is a combination between the speech and then also the multimedia presentation.
Yeah,
it was
amazing.
I know, and
it was amazing.
The way that the speech is packed is an entertainment, of course, on its own as well.
Correct. It shows, yeah. At the moment we are dealing with the multimedia. So we are dealing with the youth all over the world, especially in Indonesia. In this case, it shows that diplomacy is not only an elitist area, but diplomacy is part of the daily life of the Indonesian. Because for they who do not have diplomatic knowledge, but once they see the items and they see the multimedia presentation at the same second, they will find there are a role for me to play in order to support the Indonesian leadership in the challenging world.
I agree.
Great.
I totally agree.
Yes, and then it shows also Indonesian optimism, yeah. Regardless of the global turbulence, Indonesia is there. Indonesia has a credibility to become a credible global partner for a more prosperous and a more peaceful world. And then Ibu Menlu was very humble, yeah. In the first paragraph, she greeted the foreign dignitaries, and then the former Indonesian foreign ministers.
Her predecessors.
And she expressed condolence, condolence to the departure of the Ibu Alatas. And then the explanation went so smoothly, and then it was not only a report, but it was also an entertainment for the world to see that this is what Indonesia has been doing. And it shows also Indonesian optimism. And then optimism regarding MIKTA, regarding ASEAN, and then also regarding specific strategies in dealing with Myanmar. And also an optimism that Indonesia will become the next non-permanent member of the UN Security Council sometime in year 2029 until 2030. So this is a full of information. This is a first-class information and well explained. It was also an entertaining session. So this is also a lesson for Indonesians. This is a sample of excellent presentation, combination of hard fact and then good presentation and then multimedia presentation.
Let's say aside of the content, we can see that the production itself, this is actually needed for this kind of press statement, for people to just be engaged. Because you need to be engaged first in order to be paying attention on the content. And we can see that Ibu Menlu divided the statement into like 4 big subjects. We saw border diplomacy and peacekeeping diplomacy, economy as well, and also in terms of health. And we can see from the border diplomacy, she was mentioning about Malaysia, Vietnam, Palau, Timor-Leste as well, and also lots of reports from the economy diplomacy.
Yep.
Wow, the numbers are staggering.
Yep.
We can see. What did you have there?
I have too many for that to read, but for me the most interesting engagement was the lookout on the future. I think the most important statements were towards the end, and you were right that Indonesia is very optimistic of its growth and its its amazing abilities to overcome and to become to reach new standards, if you may. I'm very curious about the bureaucracy standardization that they want to reach a certain predication or reach a certain standard to have, like, this is the WBK, WBMM, if I'm not mistaken. They want to reach
WBBM.
BMM, sorry. And also, my particular highlight on the future was the support to state-owned enterprises to also be able to what's it called? Making the move from a developing nations to a developed country. And I think that she mentioned it's so important because the diplomacy is going to support all of the efforts, because we know that when we make internal changes, there is going to be a lot of international, perhaps backlash, international resistance towards Indonesia's planning for its future. And the way that she said it was so inspirational, meaning that Indonesia wants to make that move. So what are the highlights that you in particularly also would love to share with us?
I'm speechless. It's like it is an encyclopedia of Indonesian diplomacy.
Yeah.
It talks about history, it talks about culture, it talks about how Indonesia put itself in the world and where Indonesia is going. Yeah. But it is interesting, among others, let's begin with the border diplomacy.
Yes, please.
When it comes to the border diplomacy, we are dealing with countries around ASEAN.
Yeah.
Not only countries in ASEAN, but also with countries outside ASEAN. In this case, the countries in the South Pacific region. When it comes to border diplomacy, it takes time. Because we are dealing with international law, and also considering our partners like Malaysia, Vietnam, Palau, and Timor-Leste, there are different set of law. Apart from international law, Malaysia inherits a law coming from the British.
Yeah.
And then with regards to Timor-Leste, okay, there is international law. Maybe Timor-Leste adhere to the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. But if we go into detail, if we go to Timor-Leste, they had Indonesian law. Because they were under Indonesian leadership in the past. And also Portuguese law. And also the local law in Timor-Leste. So same story with Vietnam. Okay, Vietnam part of ASEAN, but when it comes to the issues dealing with the sea, they have a capacity to combine United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea with their own law considered TALWEC system. In this case, they consider that what is happening at the sea was also attributed to the developments in the land. For example, fishes, okay, they move around in the sea, but they receive energies coming from the land. So this is something we need to discuss. And when with regard to Malaysia, this is very unique, yeah, because we have shared land borders, yeah, about 2,000 kilometers, involving heaps of provinces inside Indonesia, and also it affecting 2 states in Malaysia, Sabah and Sarawak.
Yeah,
and
Sabah and Sarawak.
I recall a statement issued by the Malaysian Prime Minister recently that he requested a greater role of Pak Prabowo in handling these border difficulties, border challenges, or border dispute or anything. But in fact, when it comes to border relations, so many stakeholders inside.
Yeah. That is actually true.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry we have to cut you there
we're also going to
continue, Pak, because we will join ourselves to the venue of the annual press statement of the Minister for Foreign Affairs 2023. We're now connected with our very own reporter, Arya Siddhartha, and video journalist, Andre Shaputra. Arya, what do you have for us from the ground?
Right. So, of course, during her press statement earlier, Minister Retno spoke equally on the successes and the achievements that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs had in the previous year. But equally, she also talked about the setbacks and the challenges that the ministry has faced and will face in the coming year in 2023. Of course, in 2023, Indonesia is set to assume the chairmanship of ASEAN, and of course, that chairmanship will come with its own sets of setbacks, challenges, but also opportunities. Now, to shed some light on how the Indonesia chairmanship of ASEAN will look, we are joined, of course, with Sidarto Suryodipuro, the Director General of ASEAN Cooperation. And of course, we're joined with him right now. Mr. Suryodipuro, thank you so much for taking your time for us to conduct this interview. So, first of all, Mr. Suryodipuro, I would like to ask about Indonesia. What do you think would be Indonesia's contributions to the region and the world during its chairmanship of ASEAN in 2023?
The Indonesian chairmanship of ASEAN is taking place at one of the critical junctures of the region and of the world. And as the minister stated earlier during her annual statement, we look for ASEAN to be a stabilizing force, that ASEAN really matters, and that the story of ASEAN is one of economic growth. It's a stabilizing force, and it's in this context a few things we are going to do. There is the internal side. We look to strengthening the internal workings of ASEAN. We look to concrete cooperation within ASEAN with our partners for the development of infrastructure and connectivity in the Indo-Pacific. And also we look towards strengthening the centrality of ASEAN within the region.
And of course, Minister Retno also spoke about how the world will be facing an economic downturn, a recession, if you will. And I would like to know further, what would be Indonesia's closest projection in 2023 for economic and social cultural progress among the ASEAN countries?
ASEAN, the Southeast Asian region, will be one of the bright spots of the globe. ASEAN, the economic growth has been, we are in a good state, and it is also a very large market now, 600 million plus population. So we look towards a few sectors. Infrastructure will be one. The food security will be another, how to strengthen food security, in particular in times of crisis. We'll develop that within ASEAN and between ASEAN and its partners. We'll continue to work on the health security, which is critical to ensure that prosperity and progress continues. And apart from that, also on connectivity and financial stability. So a number of sectors we'll be focusing on.
And also, as Indonesia assumes the ASEAN chairmanship in 2023, we're also expecting a lot of challenges that also come with the responsibility that comes with the chairmanship. Could you mention what are the biggest challenges you think Indonesia will face, ASEAN in fact will face during the 2023 year?
Well, I will not put them in such a ranking because the challenges ASEAN will be facing require attention and our efforts across the board. Internally, we want to strengthen the internal workings of ASEAN, make it more agile, its institutional capacity and effectiveness. We want to have a greater focus of ASEAN in regional diplomacy. We want to strengthen what we call the Committee of Permanent Representatives in Jakarta, together with all the ambassadors of dialogue partners countries to ASEAN. So we want to strengthen their role. and also strengthen the East Asia Summit for diplomacy and also for economic. This is the theme of Epicentrum of Growth. So the internal workings, the workings with our dialogue partners, and on the economic side, we want to realize the various cooperation projects that exist, and we want to mainstream the ASEAN outlook on Indo-Pacific into the 4 priority areas, which is maritime, trade and economic development, SDGs, and connectivity.
And of course, talking about issues that ASEAN currently face, we can't escape the issue of Myanmar. And of course, the minister has previously spoken about implementing the 5 points of consensus to be referred to in any intervention towards Myanmar. Could you elaborate further on the implementation of 5-point consensus in sanctions towards Myanmar?
The 5-point consensus basically consists of, well, there are 5, but it's about humanitarian provision of humanitarian aid. It's about dialogue among all the parties. It's about the special envoy and the visit of special envoy. So the issue of Myanmar is, for the most part, is an issue for the Myanmaris themselves to resolve. ASEAN is there to help, to encourage, to help. It is for the Myanmaris themselves to resolve. So Indonesia, as chair, will have its conversation with all the parties. Will encourage for that dialogue to take place. In the meantime, we have to ensure that ASEAN can play a role in helping on the humanitarian side, ensuring that the humanitarian situation does not worsen. Preferably, it will improve, and ASEAN needs to play its role. There is that critical need for access throughout Myanmar on the humanitarian principles of independence, humanity, and impartiality. So a number of things will take place on the diplomatic front. We'll have conversations with all the parties. We'll use various opportunities for such conversations to take place. And of course, we call on all sides to also do their part in stopping the violence and in having an open mind to have this conversation, this dialogue among all the parties to have an inclusive political process. Ultimately, it is for Myanmar. It will be a process that is Myanmar-owned, Myanmar-led, and ASEAN is there to assist.
Thank you so much, Mr. Suryo Dipuro, for your time and the interview. Best of luck for you and your ministry for the coming year and for the chairmanship. Thank you. Right, of course, that was Mr. Suryo Dipuro, Director General of the ASEAN Cooperation here in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. As the minister has previously mentioned, there will be lots of challenges in the coming year, lots of opportunities as well as Indonesia assumes its chairmanship, and we wish all the best for Indonesia and its chairmanship for the 2023 year. Back to you.
Yeah, Arya, well, that was an interesting discussion with His Excellency Sidarto R. Suryo Dipuro, Foreign Affairs Ministry's ASEAN Cooperation Director General. And coming up, we're going for a short break. We're going to talk more about Indonesia's dynamic role as ASEAN chairman, more on what was just discussed in the live interview in 2023. Stay tuned with us on this special live event.
Selamat malam orang-orang lemah yang kalau donor darah darahnya disedot jarum suntik. Saya no. Saya kalau donor darah saya biarkan tubuh saya dikeroyok ribuan nyamuk. Nah baru nyamuk-nyamuknya saya giring ke PMI.
Teknik mesin ya Mas Coki?
Bukan.
Perindustrian?
Bukan.
Penerbangan?
Bukan, Bang. Psikologi spanduk.
Oh, advertising maksudnya, Bang.
In Wellness Stories, we will explore and discover the true meaning of wellness. I'm Ju. I will share stories from inspiring people about how to find balance in life.
Wellness adalah kondisi diri yang utuh. Bicara tentang kesehatan tadi fisik, mental maupun emosional.
Dari situ proses pengenalan dirinya benar-benar secara perlahan dan tujuannya itu untuk bisa menerima dan mencintai diri sendiri.
Hello people hacks, what's good? Life Hacks is back to make your life easier. Wanna know what's today's inspo? These are some tips especially for you.
This is me crying out loud, whatever. Wow, look at this. My shoes, guys.
Welcome to Spotlight, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shane Santura, and here in this program, we will give you a segment of sports and handy information for sports you can play when you're young to old. This is Lifetime Sports.
Hello and a very good afternoon to all of you. And for the next few hours, we'll bring you the latest from Indonesia, Southeast Asia, and around the world.
With more of a whisper than a resounding clang, Greece has shed another restriction dating back to its painful financial bailout.
Owls in Demak regions in central Java have become Taito alba owls conservationists. These barn owls are considered friends with farmers as they can help to prey on rats in rice fields.
You're back with us on See Today's special event, the annual press statement of the Minister of Foreign Affairs 2023. Now, Indonesia is the 2023 ASEAN chairman, and many are expecting the country to play a dominant role in improving the economic, social, and also cultural relations.
Chairmanship, Indonesia are at the upper hand in this case to introduce fresh ideas for the world, to focus more on Myanmar. For example, to answer the issue in Myanmar through SDG proposals, for example. This is something needs to be done. And Indonesia, as the chairman of ASEAN, we could do it. We could link ASEAN with OIC, Organization of Islamic Conference, and then ASEAN with European Union, and also ASEAN with the World Bank, or ASEAN with Asian Development Bank. I do not know because the Director General has didn't explain the detail. Yeah, the detail I think should come sometime in this year when we especially focus on Myanmar. But I believe if we consult leaders inside ASEAN, they always consider Indonesia as the big brother. And also big brother has a big responsibility in terms of wisdom, in terms of proposal, and also in terms of handling the issue without putting the target as a victim. I believe Indonesia could do it.
It certainly is a very interesting time as we've seen two presidencies fail to help Myanmar come to a resolution. And also, His Excellency before has also highlighted that Myanmar needs to resolve its own issues and Indonesia needs to support to find this resolution. And we want to go back a little bit to the achievements that Bu Retno has highlighted that made us so proud listening to the entire press conference. So we've heard that Ibu Retno mentioned about many achievements of Indonesia bilateral relations, including the Indonesian-Malaysia conclusion to negotiations to revise the border crossing agreements and border trade agreements that will be held in 2023. You've also mentioned some, and it's, you know, the Prime Minister has also expressed his support to make this a priority as well. And a very, very important one that Ibu Retno, as a woman, also mentioned is the education of women in Afghanistan, that Indonesia is actively, you know, supporting dialogues between ulemas all around, you know, in the trilateral Arab Regency to make sure they have a conversation with, you know, the leaders in Afghanistan that women are supposed to be able to have their education. And also humanitarian assistance, and there are a lot of things. So can we say that it's a reflection of Indonesian success in terms of bilateral relationships that's been built in bilateral diplomacy?
Well, to have a woman foreign minister is a bonus for Indonesia.
Yeah.
Because inside the country, we could prove to the world that we have equality between men and women. And when it comes to gender mainstreaming, we have proven ourselves. And then to the rest of the world, Ibu Retno she is a rare foreign minister, because most foreign ministers are men. And in this case, we have to acknowledge Ibu Retno and also Pak Jokowi, they managed to think from outside the box. Okay, there are international norms, there are international law, there are international relations. But when it comes to handling specific issues, we need to put ourselves aside for a while and see from a helicopter view. So this is what Pak Jokowi did. He put himself into high risk when he traveled to Ukraine and Russia. And also, when Ibu Retno mentioned the role of non-state actors in this case, women and also ulamas, of the religious clerics inside Indonesia, it shows. We have proven this in the past when we were in difficulties sometime in 1970s to deal with the Cambodia issue. We invited non-state actors coming from Cambodia to come to Indonesia and to talk among themselves and to talk with the government, with the elements of the government of Cambodia at the Bogor Palace. And then I think we would like to follow the past best practices with regard to Afghanistan and also with regard to the Palestine. And in fact, the focus is on women, because women are the backbone of the society. The truth of this can be also examined if we follow the example of Grameen Bank in South Asia, where the target of the recipients were women. So in this case, empowering the woman could mean empowering the next generation, so that there are more peace inclined, more respecting international law, and greater readiness to handle differences through peaceful means. So this is an experimentation, yes, but the best practices are there. I think let's give time for Indonesia to deploy its new kind of diplomacy in Afghanistan, in Palestine, and also in Myanmar.
Well, if there is anything, any doubt, we have a track record in 2022 of successfully, hosting bilateral, talks and dialogues between very important leaders here in Indonesia. And we look forward to talking about them more, because we will continue with more. And the discussion of the special event after the break. Stay tuned with us in the special live event.
Selamat malam orang-orang lemah yang kalau donor darah di sejarahnya disedot jarum suntik. Saya no. Saya kalau donor darah, saya biarkan tubuh saya dikeroyok ribuan nyamuk. Nah baru, nyamuk-nyamuknya saya giring ke PMI.
Teknik mesin ya, Mas Coki?
Bukan.
Perindustrian?
Bukan.
Penerbangan?
Bukan, Bang. Psikologi spanduk.
Oh, advertising maksudnya, Bang.
La réputation de l'Algérie a beaucoup souffert au cours des dernières années suite à la grande décennie noire marquée par le terrorisme. C'est merveilleux ici, la vue est incroyable.
J'aime beaucoup cet endroit, c'est le musée des Beaux-Arts. On a le Markham Chahid juste au-dessus de nous, le monument du martyr.
Qui est assez dur à manquer d'ailleurs parce qu'on le voit.
On peut pas le rater, même à l'arrivée de l'aéroport, vous voyez déjà sur le trajet.
Rien à dire. Excellent. Ouais.
Jadi orang bilang kalau makan patola atau ular sawah, fungsinya obat. Sama juga. Yang dari daging anjing itu kan dia obat dada, penguat, dan lain-lain. Semacam perangsang untuk bekerja sebenarnya.
Tapi untuk spesifikasi manfaatnya untuk eksem seperti tadi atau untuk kulit, emang masih sampai belum ada data yang menunjang seperti itu sih.
Khusus untuk misalnya fenomena di pasar Tomohon munculkan istilah pasar ekstrim kan, itu fenomena baru.
This is me crying out loud, whatever. Wow, look at this. My shoes, guys.
I had some desire to be back on a horse. I contacted riding for the disabled, but there's no attraction for me to be sitting on a horse, surrounded by equipment.
Oh, it's amazing. I love watching Sophia get to the next level, eh?
What makes a new place feels like home? I always believe it's about the people and the community. I love the tomato sauce. This is what I always say, the dish of signature. And food often the best way to connect them all. Ooh, this one really good.
Restaurants, for me, is the beating heart of a city. That is why I love exploring new places. Follow me while I'm visiting the most exciting eating places around cities only on See Indonesia.
Hello everyone, welcome back to see today's special event, the Indonesian Foreign Minister's annual press statement. Now, Indonesia's leadership was able to keep the G20 intact to work and produce concrete collaborations that are beneficial to the world, including for developing countries. Now, on that note, Pak Reza, how would this deliver more trust among the global elite to Indonesia?
Well, when it comes to diplomacy, one of the theories says foreign policy begins at home. Yeah. In this case, we have proven our credibility to manage the state. And then, based on these principles, diplomacy runs well. And with regard to the G20, I think we have had fruitful results. Yeah. Fruitful results.
I agree.
And, in terms of, for example, energy security and then support of the small and medium enterprises.
Pandemic fund.
Pandemic fund. It all caused a new kind of trust for Indonesia. That Indonesia has a capacity to deliver more, not only inside the G20 members, but Indonesia has a capacity also to share the fruitful benefits coming from G20 to the rest of the world. In this case, the rest of the world are countries who are considered as developing economies somewhere in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. And considering the success of Indonesian diplomacy, I think it would not be difficult for Indonesia to communicate and to deliver a special aid under the banner of G20 to other parts of the world. And in this case, I'm thinking of North Korea. Yeah, they have been sidelined for quite some time. I think if Indonesia come to North Korea, in this case the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, and act and to represent the world the neutral world without any political motivation, I think countries entering DPRK would better accept the global contribution, especially when the issues touch the crucial issues such as the SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, in the areas, for example, of women, education, health, and then energies. I think Indonesia could deliver its best practices. Indonesia could act as an honest broker, as an excellent communicator, and at the same time, G20 are there, ASEAN also are there, and also, but in this case, Indonesia needs to show not only to the DPRK but also to the rest of the world. But this is a collective contribution of the world to advance the development in the specific areas of SDG. But Indonesia is working as their trusted partner in this case. So there are roles to be played by Indonesia in this case.
I think there is a quote that Ibu Retno mentioned in her speech, saying that Indonesia has proven that friendship and collaboration has the ability to create concrete solutions. And we really would love to know how progressive and dynamic do you think President Joko Widodo and Ibu Retno were in handling world peace and other issues, especially regarding international issues? Because you've mentioned behind the scenes that there is a very out-of-the-box way, the way President Joko Widodo and Ibu Retno seems to find solutions. And this is, I see this as Indonesia's strength, to be the bridge, you know, as you mentioned before, to be the trusted party to engage, the trusted party to bring new regions closer to the world as the first Indo-Pacific presence at the G20 meeting ever. And how do you see Indonesia continuously making impact in 2023?
Firstly, when it comes to international relations, we talk about level of analysis. Yeah? I think the Indonesian president and also Ibu Retno, they have performed well, but the essence of their role needs to be further studied through master's thesis or also PhD thesis, because what we see is what they are doing. But what we do not see is how do they formulate ideas here. And then in this case, I think the role of culture is there. Yeah? If we witness President Jokowi and Ibu Retno, they come from the same culture inside Indonesia. Yeah? In this case, Java culture. They grew up somewhere, sometime in Yogyakarta and Solo. And in these cities, the name of the game is harmonious.
Yes.
And then harmonious, and then consultation, consensus, and not causing uneasiness, humbleness, correct? And then I think they managed to frame these positive ideas into Indonesian diplomacy. And then this produced the way Indonesia conducts its diplomacy. There is no, well, when the theory says there is no permanent enemy, there is no permanent ally, but there are permanent national interests, okay, we acknowledge that. But when it comes to the real politics, diplomacy needs to recognize there are no full competition, but there is also no full cooperation. What we are experiencing is a synergies between the two, coming into a word called cooperation and competition. I think these are the keywords behind Indonesian diplomacy not being stated to the world, because we see that if we put ourselves in the ideas of the Chinese, they have a term called yin and yang. Yeah. Inside the yin elements, there are yang dots. Inside the yang elements, there are yin dots. I think in this case, in line with the Indonesian way of thinking, we always try to find commonness. Because countries in the world, regardless of their political system, they seek to find peace, prosperity, isn't it? Not only among themselves inside the country, but with the rest of the world. I think this have become the framework for Indonesians. In this case, the actors are the Indonesian president and the Indonesian Minister for Foreign Affairs in handling the world, in facing the world. So, being recognized as the true founder of ASEAN, being recognized as a founder of the non-aligned movement. I think in this case, Indonesia, we have developed our reputation before we conduct our diplomacy. But in this case, we need further explanation to the world that this is the true Indonesia. Indonesia is a friendly country. Indonesia is an honest, peacekeeper. Indonesia is an honest, what we call honest peacemaker. Indonesia is an honest friend. Indonesia is honest ally under the banner of the United Nations Charter. I think these are the messages we always convey
Integrity.
to the world.
Integrity.
It's actually interesting that you mentioned about how President Joko Widodo and Bu Retno came from the same background of harmonious, all about peacekeeping and stuff. But before we continue, Pak Reza, let's throw back to the moment when Indonesian President Joko Widodo began his state visit in Ukraine with a visit to the war damaged apartment complex in Irpin. Meanwhile, the First Lady Iryana Joko Widodo handed over humanitarian and aid to a hospital in Kiev.
Indonesian President Joko Widodo, accompanied by Irpin Mayor Alexander Grigorovich Markusin, visited the war-damaged Lipki apartment in Irpin city, west of Ukraine's capital Kyiv. Widodo hopes the war will soon end.
Sangat menyedihkan sekali, banyak rumah-rumah yang rusak, kemudian juga infrastruktur yang rusak, dan kita harapkan tidak ada lagi kota-kota yang rusak di Ukraina akibat perang.
After that, President Widodo and First Lady Iryana handed over medical aid to a hospital in Kyiv. Through the Ukrainian Red Cross, Indonesia also helps Ukraine to rebuild hospitals.
Untuk rumah sakit, dengan Bismillah saya mendampingi Bapak. Moga-moga peperangan ini segera berakhir. Karena sangat merinding saya lihat.
After his state visit to Ukraine, President Widodo and his entourage will depart to Moscow to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin.
So, Pak Reza Shah, what can we conclude from the event today?
Well, for Indonesia, keep thinking from outside the box, because the visit of Pak Jokowi to Ukraine it was outside the box. Nobody imagined that this could happen. Even the U.S. president had no guts to come to Ukraine, and even the Pentagon and then State Department officials had not visited Ukraine. I think what I could say is, for Indonesia, we have had enough ammunition for peace. We have had enough domestic credibility. We have had enough global role in Asia, in Africa, at the UN. It is about time for Indonesia to move forward. For example, in the past, President Sukarno used to say, it is time for the world to recognize Pancasila as part of the world way of thinking. I think why don't we move forward to perceive the global peace from the fruitful ideas from Pancasila, for example. And I have a great confidence that this 2023 would become a very memorable years for the Indonesian diplomacy, because we have shown our credibility and we have witnessed our commitment, and then the action is there. The best is yet to come.
Interesting.
Yes.
This is like, I mean, not every country and could actually see this kind of opportunity being, open, like very wide. Like widely open, and this is the time that we should rise to the occasions under the Indonesian chairmanship of ASEAN as well.
Yeah, 2 years in a row.
Yeah, from the previous G20 presidency. And it is very interesting also to have you in the studio, Pak Reza. Thank you so much. It's always been a pleasure.
I'm honored.
And all right, everyone, that does it for today's episode of See Today Live Event, Minister of Foreign Affairs Annual Press Statement in 2023. We would like to say thank you to all of your great insight today, Pak Reza Shah, and also we hope to see you again soon.
Thank you.
Yes, and thank you for putting it so well that Indonesia is doing great, as in unity also translate into our foreign diplomacy policies. And we wish, all the diplomats and everybody in Indonesia bureaucracies the best of luck for 2023, because there's so much to achieve. And we share more topics and discussions, of course, for sure. Let's be optimistic throughout the year. I'm Kai Surya.
I'm Hans Lango, and we would like to say,
see Indonesia, see the world, see today.
Bye-bye.